Good morning to my colleagues here in the studio, and of course I must also hasten to add that it is a very trying moment for us as Ugandans for having lost our dear senior brother, Comrade Oulanyah Jacob locally, who had hardly sat in his chair as the 11th Speaker of the Uganda National Parliament. And today being the day that we are going to lower him in his final resting place makes the mood even more somber. But I'm also grateful that part of what Ndugu Akor and the team has chosen as our subject for today is to kind of eulogize him by way of talking about parliament and development in East Africa. I think Africa and in East Africa, probably entire Africa, because really what a better way of saying farewell to Comrade Oulanyah than to talk about what he passionately wanted to drive.
Well, I thank you, Ndugu Arugarama. According to the program, we are given actually service was meant to begin at 9, and we hope anytime from now, as and when the feed comes in, we shall actually be taking you to Lalogi as we witness the final send-off, official send-off as we lower the fallen speaker in his final resting place. Now, Ndugu Mtuta, before we can get to the topic where we're going to look at African parliaments and African development, the events of the week, what do you make of them?
For example, in Uganda, a lot has happened. We saw the body of the former speaker brought to parliament. That's within this week. And then motion recognizing his contribution as a member of parliament, but also as a speaker, was moved by the vice president. And then later on we saw, of course, people talking passionately about the late speaker, and thereafter the body was on Wednesday moved to Kololo, where again invited guests, of course, that would have been for every Ugandan who could go there, but of course given the SOPs, because we are still under the threat of COVID, only invited guests were allowed to be in Kololo to pay their last respects. And then later on, the body has now been moved to Omoro for burial later today. And the vice president will be representing government at that burial, which will be, I think, presided over by the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda. So these are some of the major issues that have been running in the country. But also you may be aware that in Ouagadougou, the court, military court actually, found guilty the former president of Burkina Faso, who currently I hear is not in the country and is in some other country, found guilty of killing Comrade Sankara. It reminded me something, was it in 1990s, when President Compaore was here in Uganda, and during that press conference, a question was put to him, and the question was very simple by one of the local journalists. What was, yes. And then he said, he asked him, because there was an ongoing investigation to find out who actually like they didn't know anyway. So this question was put to him during that press conference in Nakasero. Then the question was, who killed Sankara? And the president interjected, said, because definitely you would know the difficulty with which the man would have explained that response. So the president interjected, so he went local. So I think other than being found guilty today, I mean on Wednesday when court sat, it is also believed that he had hand in the killing of Comrade Sankara and some of his other 12 people who were killed together with then President Sankara. So it was in this week that court found him guilty, and in absentia he was sentenced to life imprisonment, because many people were saying they should have been hanged in absentia. I don't know how that works.
But any time they get you, you will be hanged.
So, but that, to me, that was something of record, because it has been a long time, and I did hear the widow really much of course that much Sankara is dead, but she was also very happy that at last
justice
had been served.
Well, of course, you know, when you talk about the issues of I mean Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast, you remember the people in Ivory Coast and Burkina Faso are almost one and the same. Because you remember at one time the current president of Ivory Coast, Ouattara, was barred from contesting just because they felt that he's not Ivorian enough. He's a Burkina.
Those are politics.
So now let's get
exclusion.
Yeah, let's get to you, Ndugu Rugarama. Yes, what do you make of the events of the week, not only in Uganda but on the continent?
I think this has been a packed week. I don't know if all the rest of the past weeks have always been like this, but for starters, and Ndugu Mututa has done well, especially to bring out the conviction and the sentencing of Campoero. But let me just very quickly run through a few that I can remember, if my memory can serve me right. Is it not the same week that we had, or they are about really, the reshuffle in the RDCs? Because now what the RDCs have done...
That was last week.
A week earlier.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, they are about, really. So it is still very fresh. Because there is something that has now come up. The RDCs that didn't make it have now formed an association, and that association is to agitate for I don't know what. I'm yet to see the minutes, because they have sat and I think they have adopted an agenda, and they are going to be moving to see that they get justice. Now, this has been very hot in the sense that we have got members of parliament, even from NRM, who have come up to say that money changed hands, and the list is not what the president would have signed if he had gotten to know exactly what he was signing. Now that raises so many things. I don't wish to go into them, but it raises so many talking points. Because one, it tells that probably our president is made to sign some of the things by the people he trusts. That is if it is true, because there is also the thinking, another school of thought that somebody is just mad singing, and actually it is not true that those who lost their positions as RDCs or deputy RDCs failed to pay money. Anyway, that is one. Two, there is, and I hope probably our team, you organize and we talk about this RDC issue, because it is not as simple as some people would want to take it. We're talking about representatives of the president in the entire country at district level, who are supervisors of government programs. And if we are having a situation whereby there are allegations that these people actually got onto the list when they don't merit, it was the power of money, this is not something we owe an explanation to the public as to whether it is true or not.
And I think, they normally say that he who he who expects an appointment must also be ready for disappointment.
That's why I was saying it's true. So that's why I was saying it is probably, if it is found to be true, because you see, like they say, there is nowhere smoke comes and there is no fire. So the two go together. But anyhow, roughly around the same time, I think, if it's not this week, then it was the other week, there was the admission of DRC into the East African, the mighty now East African community. And I remember we had a very big debate here. Probably we didn't do enough justice. We need to repeat that as to the importance of the Democratic Republic of Congo joining the EACA and what it means, and other countries also which are on the way. Then the same week, of course, was overtaken by our brother, senior brother, Comrade Jacob Oulanyah Alokori, our 11th Speaker of Parliament in Uganda. And I remember the East African heads of states were
sending in their condolences,
to the president and to the people of Uganda for that very big loss. I said here that we as a country have lost a young man. Like the president was saying at Kororo, there is no explanation that we can give for losing somebody at 58, and I think now the so-called life expectancy for Uganda has been pushed to 62. So even if we enjoyed, assuming automatically we have got to die at 62, God forbid, then we will still had a number of years of utilizing Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah. But maybe also in the same breath, we take note of the fact that we need to fix our health sector, because I also listened attentively to the head of the Cancer Institute. I believe majority of us actually listened to him. Now, I don't want to repeat what he said, but you can see frustration and anger that some of these things which are well within our ability to do, we don't do. And sometimes you must really forgive the president, because I don't think that we expect the president to be everywhere. When some of these people are appointed, whether they are appointed by the president or the public service, then they expect it to dispense. But there is a way, in the sense in which we have got a lot of should I call it congestion in the public service. There is a lot of gerrymandering. There is a lot of conflict of who occupies what, who orders what, such that instead of concentrating on developing the ministry agenda and pushing it forward, we have got a lot of poking. We find people in the same ministry, but they are poking each other, and we waste a lot of time that way. There are countries, if we look at our neighbors here, there are some countries whose health sector has been fixed, and I don't think they have better programs than ourselves, but we need to up our game. We need to instill the sense of patriotism, the Pan-Africanism. Let's weed out those who are not willing and able to work for the rest of our members. In the same way, maybe as I conclude on the issue of the events of the week, the Parliament, I listened to when our senior brother body was brought to Parliament, and a number of parliamentarians were eulogizing him. Indeed, like I again listened to the barometer, Kasa Meme, that program. You reached a point and asked yourself, is the Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah, who died and is going to be buried today, is he the man that was known by so many people in the country, or we are being presented a picture now of a different new man? So it gives me the impression, therefore, that sometimes we know less about people, but yet we pretend that we know them, and we want, in a majority of the cases, to speak ill of them and not to bring out. But I want to believe, as I said in conclusion, that the Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah, from the eulogies that were given in Parliament, we got a complete picture. Some of probably Ugandans who didn't know who he was, of who actually Jacob Oulanyah Rukuri was.
Well, I thank you very much, Ndugu Dan. But of course, on the issue of RDCs, former RDCs forming an association, we've also seen an association of former parliamentarians. So I think that it can also be to their good if they can use it positively. But also on the other issue of sour graping after one has been dropped, I don't know why they also did not come out to tell us when they were appointed. So I think it is within the constitution that the president will always appoint and disappoint RDCs. So once
which is okay, but again, picking it from the point of Ndukuru Garama, I personally also had issues with myself coming to terms with what was happening. I have heard from senior members of the movement saying there was a problem. In fact, for the first time, this issue of money has been mentioned. And I would not expect that someone in the office of the minister or the office of the president was collecting money from RDCs so that they are appointed. But I'm also aware that there has been a racket of people who have been getting money, even from MPs, promising them ministerial positions. We have had people in this country collecting money from members of the public, promising them ambassadorial postings. Now, but this one is becoming a bit now too much. If an RDC can be approached by someone to give them money so that they are appointed to the position or retain their position, and when it is the voices are coming from high echelons of government, then I think is something we need to really address, because that then puts the appointing authority in bad shape. Is someone trying to insinuate that the president no longer, because at one point the president would know who this RDC is and who, all of these details. Now,
even if it is on, even if by the way it is on a recommendation, because you see, it will also be too much, although we pride in our president having this sense, high sense of memory, that he can remember. He will even tell you your grandfather, so those he has interacted with. He will go to Mbari, the man will start mentioning names, has this man been staying in Mbari? But you see, even on a recommendation, another DC, and like Mututa, because I don't want to take up his point, but the little I wanted to mention here is that for the first, even this association we are talking about, by the way, is only for those ones they have dropped.
Well, thank you very much, Ndugu Dan. As earlier said, we shall be taking you to Lalogi, where the function actually to send off the late Jacob Lokori Oulanyah has already started. As per the program that was given to us earlier, the function was supposed to begin at 9, but of course because of technology, we're still trying to find the feed. So yes, as you can see in the picture, the service is on. The service is on. That is the first item on our program today, and the service is led by the Archbishop of Church of Uganda, His Grace Stephen Kazimba Mugalu. And yes, as you can see, as we said, everything here is new to us. Everything here is new to us because it's the first time we are burying a speaker who has actually died in office. Now, our very own Jagenda Semakula is in Lalogi, and over to you, Jagenda, so that you can give us more updates of what is happening.